Hello, broadcasting from my outside studios today. This is Chris Nelson. It is the ReOpen America podcast. It is May 9th, 2020. Remember, tomorrow is Mother's Day, so get something for your mom. I am joined today with Dave Deniloffs of ReOpen California, Liberate California, and we've seen so much going on lately about what is going on out in California with the beaches, everything like that. So, Dave, can you fill us in a little bit? What's going on out there in Cali?
Well, today the biggest party was out there in Huntington Beach. The Freedom Angels was out there leading the parade. A lot of my admins went out there. I stayed in Temecula because there are certain places in the Inland Empire, like in Temecula Duck Pond, every Saturday, 12 to 2, until they reopen California. We're going to stay out there. So we're standing our grounds. Like on Tuesdays, we have another group. We're all working together out here. They go out to the County Board of Supervisor building on Tuesday. They meet at 9:30 in the morning. But these ladies come out from 11 to 2 in the afternoon. They bring their kids out. They chalk the ground. They're making their statement. They have their signs up. So, I don't get chance to go have fun at the Huntington Beach today, but I will probably be out there on Sunday.
So what happened?
What happened?
What happened out at the beach there? We're facing a similar thing down here in South Florida where they're policing the beach like crazy. And we've seen what you guys did out in California. That video went viral of people just walking out on the beach and just taking the beach back. Were you part of that?
I wasn't part of that because I was in the Inland Empire. But my admins, what it is we have folks that want to go to the bigger part, like when Sacramento protests, they head up there. So we're actually videoing and putting it into our group. Myself, we went last weekend, and I checked out Laguna Beach. Cops everywhere. It was pathetic. I mean, it was cops, lifeguards with binoculars watching down the road. Because, see, the protest was down in the main part of the beach, and I drove along the beach, parked, came up, looked, overviewed. It was like we're paying all these cops to zone in on us, and then all of a sudden, over the weekend, they opened up Laguna Beach and San Clemente. It's like they're playing games with us. And the protest was down in the beach area, and you drive by, you can see the police just sitting back, relaxing. One of the things I didn't talk to you before is we need to control our law enforcement. We need to make sure our law enforcement know they work for us. So if we're out there, we're videoing, make sure you're videoing those guys that tell us to move. Get their badge number, because we're going to get and their name. And then when this is over, we want those guys off the force. We don't want cops who are readily support communism. You want guys like Sheriff Chad Bianco, our sheriff here in Riverside County. He knows the Constitution.
I read about him. Yes.
Yeah. So we're proud as heck, of having a guy like him. And then also another hero. So we've got two heroes this week that the whole world should know about. Supervisor Jeff Hewitt. Now, he's like the highest ranking libertarian. That's his party, Libertarian. And the Libertarian Party is pretty cool. The only thing I don't like about them is they don't like capital punishment. So I was with them for 2 years. I learned they're too peaceful for me. I'm more on the radical side. We got to have good trees to hang people. Like right now, if you're homeless, hey, come to California. We'll put you up, especially if you go to San Francisco, we'll put you up in a hotel.
I saw that.
Yeah. And then if you don't want to stay in the room, right? Because, you're tweaking, you got to get some drugs, you call Nuisance. You can call him personally. He'll bring you Uber, Lyft. They'll deliver you drugs. They'll deliver you alcohol.
What?
Yeah. So why work? Right?
What? I looked out. I was like, this is becoming a real nice little socialist utopia out here. Now you see Nuisance talking about your governor, Gavin Newsom, a.k.a. Gavin Nuisance. And these things seem to be targeted at specific people. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with the virus. But first with the beach, then I want to get into about your sheriff, because I read about him and what a great stand he's making as in some of these other law enforcement officers across the country are doing. Now, with the beach, is it the footage that we saw of people storming the beach? What was going on there? Was that were the police just allowing that to happen? Are there other areas that are more highly patrolled that nobody's going to go on? What was the deal with that?
That's the whole thing. I'm giving you an example, Laguna Niguel, that's where all the protesters were. So if they walked on the beach, the cops weren't going to do anything.
Because there were so many of them?
Yeah, so many, plus also the videos and the cameras are on them.
Okay.
Now, along the down, the cops were harassing patriots, guys in red, white, and blue shirts. They were pulling them over. They were harassing them because they strayed away. That's another thing. When you go protest, keep with your own kind. Just like in the military, you go to the rear, they're going to pick you up, pick you off, right? So when you protest, stick in a crowd, and every other person should be videoing. Sure, it's important to hold that sign up, but what you got to be videoing. You don't know who's watching you. You don't know when they're coming up to you. And that's another thing. When an officer tells you, come on over here, we want to talk to you. You know, I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing to talk about. Talk right here. Pull out that phone and say, no, talk right here. You see? Because when they pull you around the corner, they don't want the public to see them arresting us. Like what was it, last Saturday? May 1st in Sacramento. They had 4 highway patrol officers, 400, right, out there. And they were over there arresting real patriots. And then what really bothered me about these patriots, I won't mention their name, is afterwards they talk nicely. Oh, they were very nice. They put my hand around. They arrested me. Oh, they were very nice. Excuse me? You're on a peaceful protest, and they arrested you? You don't be nice. Your attitude is this. They were probably nice because they made a deal. Oh, we don't want to incite the people. No, if you arrest one of our peaceful protesters, you are now declared yourself public enemy. And my attitude is CHP, Sacramento, they're criminals. Those guys should be off the force. That's after we reopen California. That's what we want to do. You know, too many people are laid back and goes, oh, let's forgive them because they're law enforcement. No, a good cop, we back them up no matter what. A bad cop is anybody who's going to cite us for going on the beach. $1,000 fee to go surfing? Come on, you know?
Yeah, this all goes in with the new normal thing. It's like, oh, well, now we're going to need you to pay this to do this, and we're going to need you to register with the government so we can say that you're an essential business or things like that. I mean, I can see how this whole thing is forming. So it seemed like with the beach situation in California that the numbers were the thing, and then sticking together and then making sure that you're not alone or off camera in any way. You want everything to be videoed because they didn't really want to be on camera arresting people. Yeah.
And here, the people that's protesting right now, they're not your normal protesters, right? These are average American people. I had a shirt that said F nuisance, and these Christian people are saying, you're making us look bad. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm about freedom of speech. I'm not really keen on the F word, but if that's the worst word I can use to express that we're allowed to use it. We shouldn't be using it, but as long as we're allowed to use it, we're cool.
Sometimes it's appropriate.
Yeah, I didn't go to the courtroom with it. I didn't go into the board of supervisor with it, but I'm out there protesting. Most of us young folks, we know how to spell the F word. We know what it is, right? But the older folks say, oh, no, you can't wear that. No, we are at war with communism, and people don't get it. This didn't happen yesterday. This happened when they went ahead in California and started letting drug addicts out of prison early. And then they have laws where they protect pedophiles. Cops have to protect pedophiles. Once they're a registered sex offender, cops have to protect them. What's happening here is they can't control us. So they figured they'd go make us violent by releasing the criminals. And now they want to incite us because they're housing the drug addicts, the homeless people, and then we're out of business. So they're taking us, good citizens, down from our position and raising, I call it the scum, if I offend you, but if you're a drug addict living on the street, there are ways to help you. what they're bringing up the filth and they're bringing up the good stuff. There's only going to be one position. That position is all communist, communist party, and then they select the ones who will be the leaders to control the people. You see, that's what's going on here, and people don't see it because most Americans never lived like that. You know, they've always been free. They're like, no, that doesn't happen. That's only in the movies.
I was just talking about this with my mom today, actually. I was talking about some Russian ladies that I know and some that are from Ukraine, and they've seen this kind of thing before. They've lived under communism, and they're like, oh, no, look, we've seen this before. When we were kids, we could not practice Christianity legally. We had to do it secretly because it was outlawed, and the way they would have people snitch on each other.
Yes.
Here in Florida, they got this. They got the snitch portal now in Florida. These snitch portals, these are a big deal. I mean, we're flooding ours with all sorts of stuff right now, snitching on the government and stuff. But this is a real deal. And they're like, look, this is when they turn neighbor against neighbor. This is where it starts. Now, you, sir, you have lived under communism, or you have family?
Oh, I was born in Vietnam, so I know what communism is. Okay, and the Vietnamese people are like this. We were suppressed before the French by the Chinese emperor. Then we were suppressed by the French. Now, of course, the Americans suppressed us, but then we had a war, right? Which we didn't win because they don't let the generals run the war. The politician ran that war. So luckily, most of us that came over here, my real name's Phi Tran. Now it's John Dave Denlos because I love America. But if you ever meet a Vietnamese guy, you say, excuse me, why is your name John Tran? Oh, no, when I came over, I didn't want you guys to think I wasn't an American. Almost every Vietnamese person, right, has changed their name to be American. But you know what bothers me, Chris? We got the new generation of people come over here, and they want me to say their name is Jesus. There's only one Jesus, okay? I don't know who Jesus is, all right? Change your freaking name. If you're Juan, become John. They're the people that's giving me a hard time. If you research my name, John Denlos, all over, I have like 40,000 people who viewed. This guy flipped me off, and then he don't like Trump. And bottom line is, it's like if you're, let me just tell you a story. Last night, board supervisor meeting, we won. I'm happy. I'm bringing home dinner for my kids, and I got this Newsom on my side of the door, a window. So this guy, most people come up, they want a sticker, so I give him a free sticker. He comes up right next to my car, and I say, hey, you want a sticker? And he goes, didn't you run for mayor? You're like Trump. And I'm like, dude, get away from my car. He didn't do anything. All he did was just yap his mouth. Nice freaking truck. Dude, go to Mexico. You don't get poor people driving nice truck. Only in America, a bum like me who's poor can drive a 2018 Kia Rio and can make a freaking payment, baby. You know, only in America, a poor guy can tell the governor to F off, right?
Yeah,
you try that in Mexico, baby.
Doesn't work in Mexico. Can't tell the governor to F off in Mexico, huh?
Exactly. You'll be dead
You'll be dead.
know it. Yeah.
Wow. See, but I love this. Go ahead.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, you know, those Ukrainian women, they should be president. We should be in charge. Let immigrants who have suffered communism be in charge of this country. And we'll tell you this, we will give you freedom of speech. On my group, people will tell you, oh, I hate John. But he lets us say that. And that's the whole concept of my Facebook. People join my group and they goes, oh, I don't want him in the group because he's not from California. Dude, here's the message we need to tell our people. We need to communicate, all right? Now, we meet every Saturday in Temecula. If they take our internet away, and people say, oh, they won't take our internet away. When they are ready to move, they would take our internet away. So you can't call each other. You can't contact each other.
That's what they do. And when they're that's what a couple people told me. Somebody from Venezuela and somebody else, they were like, when they take the internet away, that's when they're going to move. And people don't think it can happen. But listen right now. Listen to Dave Denelos right here and other people that have lived in communist countries, that have lived under communism. They're all telling me the same thing. They're like, this is what's going on right now.
Right.
This is a prelude to communism right here.
It is. So what happens is right now we meet every Saturday, Temecula Pond. When that happens, we meet there again to get communication, get information. We don't meet there to have a protest, because if you do, you're going to probably get copied, photoed, and shot, right? But at least we can go there to our regular places, or downtown with a board supervisor, and some of us will be handing out flyers so people know what's going on. But I also tell everybody now, and I've been saying this for the ages, we all, when the internet goes down, the U.S. Constitution is our law. Do not make ranks of generals, majors. Get a few of your friends, no more than 12 families or 12, because you can't trust people, right? They take one family, they all snitch. And you don't report up. Just, I'll have a company level officer, like a lieutenant, a captain, lieutenant's platoon, but that's it. And you don't report up, because when they come, they're going to look for a leader. And Chris, you're going to be one of them. They're going to take you. They're going to question you and say, where's John? John's everywhere. He's all over the place. They come and question us. You and me are going to go down. It's okay, because we want to save our country, right?
You know,
but the rest, sorry.
Go ahead. The rest of them?
But the rest of the guys who are not out here in the open trying to warn our people right now, they're going to be safe. So you are making a big risk, Chris, doing what you're doing. You know that, collecting us all. And I don't even own a weapon. You know why I don't own a weapon? It's stupid to own a weapon. Because if you own a weapon, you got to register the weapon, right? So what you want to do is stay on Facebook and listen to all these guys. Oh, I got this big gun. I just bought this big rifle. Write down their address. As soon as the internet's gone, you hit their house. Because after that, the whoever it is will go to their house, take their weapon, because it's registered. And that guy's going to go down because he's going, I don't know what happened to my weapon. Well, sorry, but he's a victim of the situation. Meanwhile, we've got weapons that's not registered in our name. Isn't that a great idea?
Yeah, that probably is a great idea. And, I mean, about taking the risk, the thing is, I got to be able to sleep at night. I got to be able to look at myself in the mirror, especially. I mean, I make no secret that I'm somebody who is in recovery. And as part of my recovery, I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror and live with myself. And if I just sat back and just watched this stuff happen, I mean, I'd be back drinking myself to death again. I really would, because it's worth the risk to me in every way. But anybody who's watching this is real stuff. I mean, what Dave's saying here is real stuff. I mean, all these things that people thought were like conspiracy theories and stuff like that in the past, they're all becoming very real. So you said that you won a victory yesterday. What was that victory?
Let me tell you about the victory, but the first thing I want to say, awesome job doing recovery. Awesome. And what you're doing right now is probably going to keep you from ever drinking, because you got too much responsibility.
Too much stuff to do. Too much responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you go to sleep at night, right, if you can't sleep, it's because you're too worried about life. But first thing I always do is I got to think, I got to sleep, because I can't get up in the morning to help more, can't take care of my kids. So don't drink. Dude, you got to help me now. Because you can get this message out, because I've been trying to talk to people, and people say, oh, you're crazy. This shirt 2 years ago, we were trying to save our birds, our chicken. They started the practice, right, here in California, killing our healthy chickens, right? CDFA, which is California Department of Forest, of Farming and Agriculture, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Right now, they're putting in play what they did for the last 2 years. If you come to California and other places, you'll see highway patrol officers come to our house and tell us we have to go into your house. And no, you can't come in. No, then they give us a ticket. They cite us. We have to go down. So all I'm saying is they've been practicing for 2 years. Just like the military, we train, and then we go to our exercise. But they're exercising us right now. So we have to stand up, But anyway, yesterday's victory was our Board of Supervisors decided to turn around the mandate, the health code, or whatever his name, Dr. Kaiser, that he put in here weeks ago, said that we have to wear masks and all this stuff. Now they rescinded those orders.
Oh, praise God.
So we don't have to wear the mask, but restaurant or businesses, it has to take charge of that. If they want you to wear a mask, you have to wear a mask. You have to respect other people. So just putting it back on us to save us, protect us. The whole thing is, though, it took us 6 hours, 7 hours yesterday, and 11 hours on Tuesday. And the way it was done was we have a leader in that board, Jeff Hewitt. All right. Bottom line is we all came there as Americans to fight and stay, stay above water. So we talked. And if anybody watches the Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting yesterday and the other day, you'll find that these, I'm going to put it out, Democrats were in Paris calling in on the phone, reciting stuff. You can hear the reciting. And in my admins, most of us in California is Hispanic. The only difference is we just didn't come here yesterday, came here like 100 years ago, right? But we're all Mexicans, whatever. So this lady, my admin, head admin, sent me information while I was at the meeting. He says, John, Paris is coming from Paris, California, not Paris, and it sounds like mostly Mexicans, So somebody is playing these young kids to think that they're trying to save America by keeping us all in the house. So we ended up winning, and but we didn't win big because we didn't get what a lot of other places did. But what we're going to do is every Tuesday when they have their board meeting, we're going to have a rally at 9. I'm going to go in there and public comments.
Yes.
Even though they don't have it on the agenda, we're going to have public comments to remind them, hey, we're here, we're watching you. You opened this last week. What are you doing for us this week? You know?
We've had a lot of, we've had a lot of that same thing exactly with the public comments and then the local meetings here in up in Palm Beach County. We just had a big thing where Palm Beach is moving to phase 1, and then we're trying to get them to open the beaches. And it really, like what you said, it's meeting at the local level and getting in there and having people heard and shining the light of day on our local leaders. So congratulations on that victory.
Hey, let me ask you something. You know how when you watch those cop shows and it's say a dead body and they're trying to figure out who the criminals are?
Oh yeah.
You need to have people create that and then find out who all your local officials are, right?
Yes.
And then put a check next to the ones that support you.
Yes.
The only way they support you, if they come out and said, we want ReOpen California, or they'll send you a letter. And then you put a check on them, and then you on Facebook or wherever, you make a list of people that we want in the future to reelect. And then the other ones that don't support us, we need to find their address, what college their children go to, because the communism would track us. We need to track them now. So we need to find out which way they're headed. So it's not stalking. It's called good investigation, making sure America is free of communism.
Oh, well, they got no problem investigating us and finding out where we live and where we go to school and what we look at on the internet and this and that and the other thing. I mean, they have no problem doing that to us. So why not do it right back to them? You know, and so that's great. And that's awesome. You had that victory on the local level. And, you know, it takes time and dedication getting out there. And I saw a lot of this in Palm Beach. I mean, a lot of us, we have jobs, we have things that we're doing. But I mean, a lot of these are women that have children at home, but they're coming out because it's something that needs to be done. And just the hours that we put in on this, I mean, and it's not like we're getting paid for this or anything. But you know, it's a passion. It really is. So tell me about this sheriff of yours, because your sheriff has been he's been outspoken about not enforcing these orders, and I think this is exactly what we need more of are our sheriffs that will stand up. Now, what is your sheriff's name again?
Chad Bianco, Sheriff Chad Bianco. His wife,
Chad Bianco, and he's been in the news this week about standing up and saying, "I'm not going to be enforcing these unconstitutional mandates." Correct?
Right. Yeah, and he from the beginning he said his deputies weren't going to enforce it. When I created my group, I said we're not going to protest in Riverside County, because bottom line is we're not going to disrespect him because he's not against us. We have had protests in Temecula, which is still his jurisdiction, but it's the city of Temecula, a very strong conservative part of town. We've had a protest in the city of Riverside, which we need to, because those guys are all basically Democrats looking up at their boss. And, you know, they're the ones, like here, our mayor is leaving so he can be the CEO of Path of Life, so he can bring in more homeless people for the city of Riverside. Anyway, let's go
It's a whole
positive.
racket there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big time racket. It's all about money, you know. And but Chad Bianco came to us 2 years ago, but he suffered before he was the sheriff. The last sheriff, he was a lieutenant. He ran against the last sheriff, not this election, but the election before, and that sheriff wasn't very bright. He basically shoved Chad in Hammett. And if you know anything about Hammett, that's horrible just to be in Hammett. And then he, as a lieutenant, he gave him a desk, a computer with no internet in the basement for like 800 days or something, 788 days. Now, here's the best part about this guy, Chad, right? He's a Christian, real Christian guy.
I was going to say, I bet you he spent time with God during that time, you know?
Yeah,
God sometimes gets us alone with him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, his wife is definitely praying for him. And when I met him, they were like, we got to win. And I didn't understand why, because they're real good people. They never tell their story. So as I'm going along, I do my own investigation. Their friends is telling me how these people have suffered. You know, they have suffered. And then all of a sudden, we have this crisis. So there's a time and a place for everything. And he was meant to be our sheriff, because he also made a promise for CCWs, concealed weapon permit, guaranteed that you can get your weapon in 28 days. What a system. And he did it. He managed it on the first year. All we need is more cops.
This is what you need. I mean, I hope people are finally paying attention now. I know they're paying attention now. Your sheriff is so important. I mean, why it matters. I think probably people, I mean, these elections for sheriff probably only bring out, I'm just guessing, like probably only 15, 20% of voters. I mean, they're important. And it's not a Democrat Republican thing. It's like, who is this guy who is going to be tasked with enforcing our laws? Like, where does he stand on things? What's his record? What does he believe? What are his personal values? I mean, that's not Republican or Democrat or anything like that, but that's what you should be asking, because when it comes down to something like this, where unconstitutional mandates are being shoved down by politicians of whatever party, you know, it comes on the sheriff. Is he going to enforce them or not? And Sheriff Chad Bianco out there in California is really has stood up and said no. And it would be nice if the sheriff of Broward County stood up and said something like that. Of course, he's dealing with some personal things right now. I don't think some people looked into Sheriff Tony Gregory's background that well. He actually killed somebody. And I don't know what the whole story is. I don't judge them on this, but they didn't know anything about this. That tells you something. They put this guy in place to replace Scott Israel down here, and people were just singing this guy's praises. I mean, he's a good-looking guy. He's got that like you can trust me kind of face. But it's just coming out that he's got some skeleton in his closet that he never told anybody about.
Right.
So knowing who your sheriff is, I mean, is just so important.
No. Well, the thing is everything's for a reason. Because the last sheriff we had was sheriff number 13. Chad Bianco is sheriff 14. And, you know, I like number 13 because I'm superstitious, so it fits my thing. But the last guy was an atheist. They're both Republicans. They're both conservative, but one's an atheist. And Chad is a Christian. So it made sense to have number 13 as an atheist, but those days are over. We need Christianity right now. But let's talk about Christianity. I'm actually very upset with the Christians, okay? Two, because they don't like my F shirt, right? That's number one. But the biggest problem is this. I think the reason why it's so important for Chad Bianco to do what he did, and then everybody said, wait a minute, where do you get the power for that? So the young people need to learn we have check and balance. That's what's so great about this country. Like I was in the military. They said we have to listen to our officers. We have to listen to our bosses. But if it's immoral, if it's illegal, we do not have to.
Do not.
Only in this country, right?
That's right.
But But what was your question again?
Oh, you were talking about Christianity. You were talking about why you're upset with Christians right now.
Here's the thing. The church should never have been closed.
Absolutely not. I've been saying this from day one. You can go back on my Facebook, and I was called all sorts of names. Not that I'm crying a river or anything, but absolutely. That they folded so quickly. So many, not all of them, but so many of them folded so quickly.
Well,
no, go on with your point.
The old days, a lot of folks don't know, but the old days, you could enter a church property and stay in that church property, and the law couldn't touch you until you come out of that church property. You could live there and die there, and they can't touch you. That's the reason why our founding fathers did what they did. So I always tell people, oh, you need to go to church. Now I have an excuse. Why? You can't protect me, right? God protects me. You can't even keep me away from the human law that's here.
Well,
so I'm not.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But here's the other thing. Here's the fun thing. They say that they want to do drive-through churches. What the frick is that? Right? All right. Drive-through churches. Why? Because they want to get their tidings. They want to get their money. What you all need to do is not give your money to the church. We want to do a GoFund page for the county of Riverside, because they're going to screw us, or the state. Gavin Newsom is going to screw our board, screw the people of Riverside, because we stood up for them. Now, I don't have it on here, but there's 3 counties that Gavin Newsom has already targeted. I think one is Murdoch or something. Well, I'm going to take a trip after Tuesday. I'm going up to those 3 counties. I'm going to stay in a hotel at each one of those counties, because I don't have much money unless you guys want to send me some cash. And then I'm going to spend my food money that I would spend in Riverside up there. You see? That's how we can support these people. What we need to do is do a GoFund. All of our money that we would have spent, like gambling or giving it to the church, give it to the county. And then we can tell Gavin, F you, sir. If you don't support us, we don't support you. And that's another thing. Every time you see a Gavin Newsom, you see his supporters, turn your back to him. Turn your back to him. Don't flip him off. Because I hate flipping off. You know why I don't like people flipping?
I got flipped off like 17 times today at the rally, but whatever. They're driving by. They're not going to say anything to my face.
Well, the reason why I don't like flipping off prior to this. I don't like
flipping off either.
But I loved it prior to this, but then I found out that you can flip off a cop, right? You can flip off a cop, and a cop can't do anything. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, cops work for us.
Yep.
When you flip off a cop, you're flipping off the taxpayers, the people that sent him out to protect us. So you're flipping me off.
Yeah.
So told the cop, I said, well, that's the case. I'm not flipping nobody off anymore, because if I condone flipping off, that means I'm supporting cops being flipped off. So don't flip off. Come over and punch me in the face, and I'll give you more respect than if you flip me off. That's the whole thing. There's freedom of speech. We're allowed to say whatever we want, except in courtroom or courthouse. But the thing is, just because you can, right? This is a martial art lesson, first 101. In martial art, if you can kill a man, right? So, isn't it better to not take a life and have somebody become your friend? Is it not better to not take a life even though you know you can? And you can get away with it, right? Don't do it. The thing is you want to have the ability to defend yourself and to keep people at bay.
Yes.
But it's not your right to take a life. But if somebody does something bad and it's your life or their life, yeah, that's a difference, But
right.
church got to open up.
Got to open up, churches. I mean, I've been saying this, and I've got a lot of friends in church. I went to a big church down here in Fort Lauderdale that closed immediately. I mean, there was other churches that at least tried to do social distancing, but these guys, just a second an order came down, done, and it shows how closely church and state have become together. And then what really got under my skin was when I heard pastors on Instagram and other places saying, we're obeying Romans 16 and we're obeying the government by being closed. And I called them out on it. I was like, actually, Governor DeSantis has said he has not closed churches. He doesn't have that order. So you can open if you want. Don't put, this is one thing you can't put on the government. But I think that a lot of people are operating in fear. They don't know what to do. They saw what happened over there with Rodney Howard Brown's church in Tampa. His windows got shot through. He got hate mail, death threats, all sorts of crazy stuff for staying open the Sunday before Easter. But that's churches. I don't think churches ever should have closed. And if anything, now that we know this virus wasn't even as close to as bad as they thought, it's time for some people to take some bold moves, step up, and reopen.
Well, a lot of people that go to church, you were in recovery, people in prison, they need church. They need the contact.
Absolutely.
They need their affirmation that they're alive, everything's going to be good. There's people that go to church thinking that's where God is. You're in the house of the Lord. You drive to church and you say to God, okay, dude, I got $20 and I'm supposed to give him $20. No, what do? I usually get a flat tire or something, fix my flat tire and go home, call AAA. That was God telling me I don't have to give up my $20. Because when you go to church, it's to be with other people, to embrace the Lord.
Right.
As one, as a group. Right. It's not about giving up cash.
No, it's not. It's about the community. Yeah. And it's not, and online does not, it just doesn't do it. It doesn't do it. And I know it's like of a lot of people that are relapsing, that are going through hard times being alone because of where they live, and they can't go to church. And the stuff online it's just not good enough. So good work.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've never had did you drug recovery, but I was a taxi driver, so a lot of guys actually started paying me at the beginning to come in with them, and then after a bit, I came in with them to hang out because the coffee's free and the donuts are free usually.
Free coffee in the meetings.
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of like a church because it's like everybody has the same common goal, just to get to the next meeting. Yeah, So they should, I don't know, maybe I'm already, I like to be a minister. I can be their minister and we keep the church going and we stand our ground.
You know what? I've actually, the connections that I've made in the ReOpen movement, we've almost become like a church. I was at a rally and I was realizing we've almost become like a church. We interact with each other. That's like going to a rally every Sunday has almost become like church to me. And I do have a small church I go to that remained open, but the ones that are still doing it online, I'm sorry, I just don't see the point. And I know how you're operating in fear, and that just makes me wonder, why am I even engaging in this? I disagree with it. I think it's wrong. But the communities that we're building in these ReOpen groups, that's become like my church family now, I've noticed.
Yeah. Well, our rallies, like today, the first one was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I haven't shaken anybody's hands in like 4 weeks. And it was weird because I'm shaking hand and I can feel the love because the other guys say, man, isn't this great to be out here? So physical contact, shaking hands, camaraderie is called survival. We're not built to live alone.
No, we're not. We are not.
And so everybody that has been confined should be anti-jails. I've been arrested a few times, trust me, only for a few hours, but long enough to know that I say, hey, dude, we're over here. We're the best kind of people, We might not be able to get into that big circle, but we got friends in low places. I love Garth Brooks, that song.
I got friends in low places. I love it.
Every time I feel down, I go that on YouTube and I listen to like 5-10 minutes, keep it rolling. And it just reminds me that, we're better off with each other than dying by ourselves and being forgotten.
We are. Amen. I couldn't have said it better. Well,
Yep.
it's getting a little dark here in my outside studio. So, Dave Denelos, best wishes to you out there in California. Keep up the good work. Keep up the fight. Thank you for joining me on the ReOpen America podcast. And you can download this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, and also iHeartRadio. Please subscribe, write a review, and of course, you can see the videos right here on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you, Dave, for joining me.
All right. Take care, Chris.
All right,
Thank
you too. Thank you. And keep up the fight, guys, to ReOpen America.